I mean, I'll be honest. You almost feel like maybe Charlie Kirk was really in love with Candace Owens at some point, and that he couldn't marry her because of her skin color. And they couldn't have a relationship because, you know, he lives in that white supremacist Republican land where he had to marry a white beauty pageant girl that was connected to some big political figure.
Something that I want to say right at the top here before we get further into the Charlie Kirk story and speaking about January 6th and how somehow that's connected. There's something I learned that's bothering me. I'm just going to put it out there, see if it bothers you as well. But I learned via tips that the feds immediately seized the footage at Timpanogos Hospital. Okay, Timpanogos Hospital. Remember, this is the hospital that it was quite strange that they moved to take Charlie to because it was further and also less equipped than UV Hospital.
Weird. There's another weirdness. Why did they take Charlie to an inferior hospital further away, and then the government comes and takes all the footage?
Like, it was like UV was a trauma 1 and Timpanogos was trauma 3, and a bunch of people said very strange that they took him here. And then it got strange because we started hearing from other people that he was definitely at UV Hospital. It was very weird. Anyways, I would like to add to that by saying that on the day that Charlie was shot, for whatever reason, 𝗙ście𝗶𝗹𝗀 injects himself into it, the feds seized all of the footage at the hospital that Charlie was brought to at Timpanogos. That doesn't make sense to me. Nothing makes sense to me in this whole story. So this is just kind of the icing on, on the top here. Not even the icing on the top. But why would they move to seize that footage? How is that going to help their investigation? What's happening inside of Timpanogos? How is that going to help their investigation, their immediate boots on the ground investigation into who shot Charlie Kirk? They're on a manhunt. Why are they going, okay, let's at first grab the footage at Timpanogos? Does that make sense? Were you worried? Did a nurse call 911 and say, oh, a guy just ran in here with a gun and you need to seize the footage because that's going to help you track him down? If that didn't happen, why are you seizing that footage? I don't know. With everything that is going on, and I would say almost the lack of information that we have at Timpanogos, not a single person who captured them pulling up, nothing, despite the fact that there were news cameras outside waiting, oddly, from like a New York news channel. We have not seen anything regarding that we can build in competently on our timeline that would let us know what time in particular Charlie arrived at the hospital.
Okay, so we're going to pause here because I just want to encapsulate what's so great about this. And this is why I love Candy-O, guys. Because again, I don't trust her. I don't buy what she's selling. But this is one of those weakening things because she asks a legitimate question, right, about this. But what is she doing? She's telling all of her MAGA people that the Trump administration, the Trump FBI, is untrustworthy, guys. And how does that resonate? It's so much bigger than Charlie Kirk. That is about the Epstein files. That is about Trump talking about the, HBCUs. That is Trump talking about everything. She's like slowly undermining the entire Trump administration. They're lying. Why are they doing these things? They're not trustworthy. They're covering shit up. So naturally, if they're covering up Charlie, what can you believe from them, right? And it's not wrong, right? But the thing is nobody in MAGA was ever doing this, okay? Nobody in MAGA was ever sowing this type of internal discord. And now she's doing it. I mean, we know they're untrustworthy. They lie all the time. But MAGA never believed that. But now MAGA is starting to. And yes, Candace reminds me of Candace, Cenk Uygur, Tucker Carlson, 𝗙ecie𝗶𝗹𝗀. Right now, they're all on the Israel tip, okay? Israel is the big boogeyman, even when they don't say it. It's all like the implication is Israel. And that's the big fight that's going on with TPUSA. The Erika Kirk, Donald Trump version of TPUSA is like Benjamin Netanyahu's little buddy, okay? And then the Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson version of TPUSA were the people who found Benjamin Netanyahu is like a manipulator who's trying to take advantage of our shit. So they are at war. What does Erika think of Candy-O? Dude, Erika doesn't say anything about Candy-O, okay? Erika does not say anything about Candy-O. I mean, I can't imagine she's liking her because there was some implication that Erika like had Charlie killed. And even though Candace has said, oh, I didn't say that, the implication was pretty loud and clear. So I can't imagine that Erika likes it because, I mean, I'll be honest. You almost feel like maybe Charlie Kirk was really in love with Candace Owens at some point, and that he couldn't marry her because of her skin color. And they couldn't have a relationship because, he lives in that white supremacist Republican land where he had to marry a white beauty pageant girl that was connected to some big political figure, right? But I mean, that's kind of the vibe that I got, that her and Charlie were the couple that could never be. And so maybe Charlie's real love was Candy-O. That's a bold statement. I know it is, but I'm pretty, like, my vibing of like relationship stuff is usually pretty good. I mean, I could always go in and tell the marriages that were about to break up, right? When my kid was in grade school, I knew which parents were going to break up by the end of that fucking elementary school. I'm pretty perceptive, but yeah, I mean, Charlie, if you look at him, he didn't spend a lot of time with Erika. Now, as soon as Erika came into the picture, Candace was scarce, right? But Charlie and Candace were inseparable on the way up. They blew up together, okay? And Charlie kind of blew up because of Candace a little bit, and then Candace kind of blew up because of Charlie a little bit. But I think Charlie was closer to Candace by far than he was to Erika. I think Erika was a business relationship, the business of kids.
And I feel like something's amiss if the feds move to grab the footage inside of the hospital immediately and outside of the hospital immediately. So just putting it out there. If you maybe were somebody who has footage and saw that black SUV pull up at the hospital, please get that to us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com because it's starting to bother me. Something there is starting to feel amiss. Everything's amiss.
She is the biggest MAGA person, right? She is the biggest MAGA person right now, and she is like anti-MAGA, okay? And you know what, though, guys? What I think is this. My take on Candy is this, is that she knows Trumpism is finishing. Okay? She knows. And so does Tucker. They recognize the writing on the wall, and they know that, like, J.D. Vance isn't a contender. So you ready for this, guys? You ready? I think she maybe has political aspirations down the road. I think she might run for something at some point. I really do. Like, either she runs for something or she creates some type of like TPUSA, but like her own political like organization. Like it feels like she's recognizing the end of Trumpism, and she's trying to carve herself out as a thought leader in the new thing because she knows there's going to be a huge void and there's nobody there to like fill the void. There's like a gaping hole that is opening up. If you have a big corporation, okay, and you have one guy who has led that corporation for like 40 years, right? And then that guy announces that he's retiring. What happens is every higher up in that company starts like, ooh, I'm going to get that opening. And then all kinds of weird alliances form, and everybody starts undercutting everybody else, and they're all fighting to be the next person to carry the torch. And I really think that a couple of these MAGA people are starting now, okay? Candy and Tucker, they're starting now. They recognize it. They recognize that the ship is going down and there's nobody to fill that void. And I think they're trying to get a jump on this to be the sort of like the thought leaders. And you may have noticed that Candy and Tucker are kind of aligned in a way. Right? They're kind of aligned in a way. I think they're forming the new MAGA, like MAGA 2.0 is forming with these other big names where they're going to try to be the heir apparent. The thing about this though, guys, is like, I don't think Candy-O cares about the movement. Okay. She doesn't care about the movement. She doesn't care about MAGA. She doesn't care about Trump. I don't think she even cares about conservatism. I think she literally just cares about Candy-O. Okay. She cares about her own star and her own money and her own sense of power. Okay. That's what she's doing. And she doesn't care about the people who follow her, believe her, or if she changes. And like, she just cares about the money. Dude, show me the money. Dude, that's what she is. She's a narcissist. I mean, she's kind of like another Trump. Okay. So is Tucker. They're all like, all the narcissists are now rising up, trying to become the next, heir to that cult fever. I mean, cult people give all their money to you, dude, right? They do. They give all their money. The cult followers, those Christians, dude, they tithe like there's no tomorrow, boss.